Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Greene. Let's go ahead and jump into the fantasy news today because we got a thickum one here. So many stories, so little time. Let's get right to it. First up, we had Patrick Rothfuss going on a little bit of a Q&A with his fans where people were asking about the Doors of Stone. He was pretty frankly and honestly answering questions, and this was really great to see and hear. I think this was a fantastic move from Rothfuss because he explained a lot of why things have taken a bit longer. He really got into some detailed answers here. So if you'd like to go ahead and check that on out, of course, link in the description right down below. I think Rothfuss did a really great job, and this was a good, solid little experience and engagement between an author and their fans. Something I'm always encouraging authors to increase because in the day and age we live in, the more you interact with your fans, the more they connect with you, the more they'll follow you, the more power you have as an author, the more they connect to you, not your publisher, things like that. I'm always pushing that because I want the power of the fans to be directed to the authors and not to the people who just market them. Did it get a little off topic there? Yeah, but with the big five becoming the big four, I'm a bit concerned. Authors, take advantage of the fact that you're the creator. That was unrelated. Next news. Now 20 new cast members have been announced to be attached to the Lord of the Rings TV show coming over at Amazon. Shouldn't call it Lord of the Rings TV show. Can't call it Middle-earth TV show technically. What do I call it? Tolkien show? Welcome to the Tolkien show. 20 new cast members there. None of them were huge names I recognize, but almost every single one had previously worked in a major franchise. I'm talking Doctor Who, Jessica Jones, Arrow, Power Rangers. So these people are all experienced and probably have faces you'll recognize. There'll be a whole lot of, isn't that the guy from... Yeah, it is. But if we're going to continue on the Lord of the Rings train for a second, Viggo Mortensen had two comments to make related to the franchise. First of which was some concerns he had with the Tolkien show coming over at Amazon that I think are shared about many of the fans. He basically is saying like, look, I think they have a great template to go from with the movies. I hope they do that. But he's also not sure they're not going to Game of Thronesify Lord of the Rings to some extent. But with these like quotations without hearing his voice or knowing exactly what he's saying and how, I don't know what his tone is. He could be sarcastic this whole time. He could have like a Regina George tone. I don't know. But for me, it just is kind of like a, yeah, I think they have a good template. They seem to be following a lot of Peter Jackson's steps. And these controversies we've seen where people are like implying they're going to go much more grimdark, I have not actually seen a ton of evidence for. Like the whole thing with the nudity coach, as we covered here on the channel, that person, yeah, it could be for nudity or it could just be for romance on screen, some touching, kissing. Like you can bring those kind of people in for consultants on set for very minimal kind of things. And even if there is nudity, it could fit within the world, like kind of a fae thing. I'm not entirely sure, but I have not seen concrete evidence yet that they're trying to Game of Thronesify Tolkien's world. Note though, if I do see evidence for that, I will be one who's banging the war drum about it because I think it does go against the heart of what Tolkien was trying to write, and I am very anti that, regardless of the situation. But moving on to the second comment from Viggo Mortensen related to the franchise, he spoke on a scene that they shot that has never been put into any of the extended editions that are out there. Even your 40-day long Lord of the Rings romp will never encounter a courtship scene between Aragorn and Arwen, where apparently it's a much younger looking Aragorn in a flowery meadow. It's a scene from the book, and they did everything they could to make, Viggo Mortensen look younger. I'm really trying to picture, as he says here in the description, a clean-shaven Aragorn in elven clothing. I don't know why. That's just not coming to my brain. And this video is brought to you by Campfire Blaze. That's gonna make too much noise. I can't have that on the whole time. Campfire Blaze is the creative software, come closer, not that close, that lets you build a fantasy world or sci-fi world or whatever world you want in one easy location. Timeline, language, maps, items, character arcs, anything you really want, you can build within Campfire. And here's my favorite part. Come a little closer. It's fine. We got to know each other better. You pick the features you want and pay for them individually. So let's say you want to do a trial run of just checking out the map maker, see if it's gonna be worth your time. Just pay for the map maker for 1 month. It's gonna be less than like $1. I used to say Campfire costs like less than a streaming service a month or a one-time payment, both things that are still options available. But now you can give the features you want to go for like as much as you pay for a cup of coffee for a full month, and then decide if it's something you want to keep doing. That's honestly like a genius business structure I've not seen before, and it's freaking phenomenal. And are you into communities like the one we got going on here with all of us little goblins? Well, guess what? Campfire's community is fantastic, and I've seen them consistently address questions within the community promptly and thoroughly. They have Discord servers, YouTube channels, they're always on Twitter, maybe a little too much. Whoever your Twitter guy is, he needs to relax a little. Come on, like, you know. So if you would like to add to your world building arsenal, you can do so today by using the link in the description down below and trying Campfire for your D&D campaign, your story you're writing, just a thing in your head you want to organize out and see if it works. Go ahead, check it out down below, and let's just go ahead and get back to the video now. Lightsaber. Are you a fan of Book of the Ancestor or its sequel series, Book of Ice? Well, Book 2 of Book of Ice has had Chapter 1 put online, so you fans can go give it a read and continue your Mark Lawrence journey right now. That's the story. Next news! We had a trailer drop from an upcoming Korean game called Chrono Odyssey, and wow, was this a gorgeous trailer. I very much so am aware that these are highly tailored trailers with stuff that's not going to be in the game in terms of gameplay and Just from an artistic standpoint of crafting this trailer though, beautiful. Highly recommend you watch it just for like the cinematic experience, though of course, as always, keep in mind, trailers are lies most of the time. This definitely did sell me on the idea of keeping track of the reviews for this game, figuring out if down the road I'd like to get it for myself. And that's really what a trailer should do. I had no idea this was coming until this trailer was dropped, and it's a pretty fire trailer, fellow Gen Zers. I'm a millennial, but I gotta stay young. It's YouTube. Don't leave me because I'm old now. I'm 26. Do I need to tick the talk? Now, as we all know, the MetalGearSolid franchise exists. If you didn't know that, it does. And as with any franchise existing, Oscar Isaac wanted to be a part of it. And so he apparently has been cast to play the role of Solid Snake in the upcoming MetalGearSolid adaptation, live action adaptation, which is pretty cool. Now, as I was actually writing down in the description of this video, like the link to the article, I accidentally wrote Oscar Isaac is Solid Snack, and I erased it, and I realized, no, I kind of stand by that. He's a pretty solid snack. There really are very few people who have managed to be in as many successful franchises as Oscar Isaac. Good lord, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Love your performances. You're great. You're also not going to watch this video, so that was pointless for me to say. But moving into much more straightforward news, Deadpool is apparently getting a manga. Manga? Manga? I'm gonna go with manga. That way everyone's mad at me. Now I want to put the news aside for a second to address some comments I have seen on my own channel and on other Wheel of Time content creators channels. And that's comments on my channel saying, hey, you're missing like these small bits of Wheel of Time news, why are you not covering them? And I've also seen comments on smaller Wheel of Time creators channels saying like, you're just ripping off Daniel and riding his wave. One, no Wheel of Time content creator has ripped me off in any way, shape, or form that I have seen, period. I do not own the right to talk about Wheel of Time. I love seeing these smaller Wheel of Time content creators jump up, and I wish them the best success possible. The reason I have not been covering every single smaller bit of story is I do not want to dominate the YouTube algorithm, which I absolutely do when it comes to Wheel of Time right now, so these guys have some breathing room to grow on their own. Specifically, there's been some very small castings announced for the Wheel of Time with unknown roles assigned to these actors, and if you'd like to see that fully covered very well in depth, go check out WoT, linked in the description down below. Did a phenomenal job going over this. I've also just changed a little bit where I'm not quite as Wheel of Time focused as I used to be. It's still a very firm pillar of the channel, but I want to help encourage this community to grow and not just entirely depend on moi to bring you Wheel of Time content. Let's spread the love around, and you know, if I got hit by a bus, you want these people to exist, don't you? You don't want Wheel of Time content on YouTube to just dry up. So there you go. All right, let's go ahead and talk about one of the meatiest boys of the day here in terms of fantasy news, and that's how HBO Max and Warner Brothers have teamed up to have several of the major upcoming releases for 2021 premiere simultaneously in theaters and on HBO Max. The reason this is in fantasy news is it obviously encapsulates several of the biggest fantasy releases coming next year, like Dune. Do I need to continue? Sure. Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad. And even things like Godzilla vs. King Kong. So there's a clear tie to the genre, so I can talk about this. Cool. There's an interesting angle though, because this has not been promised to be a continual practice. They're just saying for 2021. What makes this complicated is a reported vaccine has been talked about, and if it is effective, could mean by the time some of these movies are out, movie theaters could be at full capacity and operating. Possibly. A whole lot of maybes, which means some of the studios who helped fund these projects are upset that Warner Brothers is obviously in a better position with HBO Max to reap more of the benefits. Originally, without a vaccine scene being in headlines, I think more of these companies are okay with the idea because the longer your movie just sits on a shelf, the more it is devalued. But if you then have an option where, hey, no, let's not make it so Warner Brothers reaps a heavier percentage of the benefits here, and instead we all get our fair share through theaters, there have been rumors that a legal battle could ensue. This could slow up the release of these movies like Dune because of the obvious legal process. It's something we're going to have to keep our eyes on. Obviously, I hope these artistic projects are not tied up in legal limbo and delayed because of that. That is probably the most infuriating kind of delay a fan to experience. Legal crap holding it up, like not even like, oh, we need to do reshoots or editing. That stuff's understandable. Legal limbo for something like this, just specifically, there are rumors floating around that Legendary Entertainment has already or is about to send legal letters to Warner Brothers due to the fact that they were heavily involved in King Kong vs. Godzilla or Godzilla vs. King Kong, whichever, and Dune. So for those of you who are really excited for Dune, that could cause issues. Let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope this is resolved smoothly. I personally would love to see that on HBO Max. I don't like movie theaters to begin with. I'd much prefer to stay home, watch it on my nice TV I spend a bunch of money on, and not have to sit next to someone who's picking their nose for the entire movie. That's happened to me repeatedly with grown adults. Cut in, because I actually want to emphasize exactly how big this move could be. It could set precedent for more studios doing this in the future, which could be the absolute death blow to theaters that has been seemingly coming for a long time now. Coronavirus has certainly sped that up, but this just seems like a follow-up haymaker to theater chains and maybe could be the real end of theaters as we know them. Maybe in the future they'll just be like Disney release facilities where you go to see the new Disney movie. Who knows? In addition to that, Warner Media, who owns HBO Max, is clearly doing this to try and bolster the subscriber numbers of their streaming service. Will that actually work out for them? They would need to over double their current subscriber base to meet the goals to make up for the losses here. Possibly it could be done. These are huge franchises, but will it? Not for sure. Combine that with the obvious souring of relationships and potential legal backlash, we're going to see a really interesting future for the entertainment industry and movies right now caused by this action. And I think it kind of fits with the things studios have been doing for a long time where they're like, we love theaters, we want them to be a thing because it makes us look good to say that, but in reality, we want more of the money. And oh, we know streaming services are going to give us that more. How do you feel about this as someone who maybe goes to theaters or avoids them? What is your ideal outcome? Honestly, I don't want theaters to die, but I do not enjoy going to theaters. And if Dune is released on HBO Max, I'm going to watch it on release day on HBO Max and not pay $20+ to go with someone to see it at a place where I have to overpay for food. I'm fascinated with the conversation around this, so let me know what you think in the comments down below. Legendary Entertainment apparently provided well over half of the funding for Dune. Do you think, putting your fandom aside, they have the right to challenge Warner Brothers' decision to do this because Warner Brothers has the release rights control for Dune? That it seems like, yeah, I would do the same thing in that position where it's like, no, I'm not going to let you take advantage of this situation to benefit yourself more, or they should just bite it and let the fans be happy. Let me know what you think, because it's a complicated situation that I feel like the more you emotionally remove yourself from, you kind of see both sides more evenly, though from a fandom perspective, there's an obvious way to lean. And it's not like people who want the movie theater experience when Dune comes out won't be able to go get it with Warner Brothers' approach. There's not really a lose there at all from a fan perspective. It's just more of like, put yourself in Legendary Entertainment's shoes. That would suck. Anyway, guys, like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace. And of course, I'd like to record a special shout out to my latest high tier Patreons, Peter, Snellgrove, Matchroom, Bloody Coffin, Marcus, Cornette, Savoy, McGilliard. Got it. Nailed it.